All right, it's Friday night and I'm back in West Virginia checking out the hives. I looked at them last week before I left, but I didn't go into them. As of last week, they've all made it. They made it through the winter time. So what I'm doing this week, and I've just been thinking about this all week, and I watched a few videos on it. And this is a really critical time of the year for the bees because, you know, they could have eaten their entire honey stores through the wintertime. And we had a pretty tough winter this year. Here in the mountains we had a couple of weeks of single-digit nighttime temperatures. You know, so they used up a lot of energy, and I was concerned that maybe, you know, they've gone through a lot of their food stores or their honey stores. But I'll tell you about that in a second. But I wanted to start out letting you know what I'm doing, and I'll show exactly, you know, what's going on inside the hive. But today I'm just going to give them a small pollen patty. It's a winter patty. It only has a small amount of protein in it, but it's enough to keep the girls going. And but it's not going to trigger the queen to start laying brood just yet. Right now, the things that are blooming in February are elm trees and red maples, and I happen to have a whole bunch of those. So they are bringing in some pollen, but you know what? You get a couple sunny days, and then all of a sudden you get a few rainy days, and boy, they can eat that food up fast. So I'm not taking any chances this year. I want to keep that 100% mark going, and I'm pretty happy about that. So stand by. I gotta switch the angle on the camera and get it off of me and get it on the hives, and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so what's going on here is this is my quilt box, and this is to soak up all the condensation that the bees make while they're in the hive during the wintertime. And what happens, you guys, is that the bees, as they're vibrating their thorax, it generates heat. And so with the cold temperatures outside, that heat rises to the top of the hive and it turns into condensation. And if there's not a quilt box on the hive, then the bees get wet. And wet is what kills bees, big time. And so I wanted to prevent that. So there was a guy down in an area called Smoke Hole. It's by my house, and he had all these cedar shavings, and he was nice enough to give them to me. And what I then did was I repurposed a whole bunch of coffee cups from Starbucks. All my friends drink coffee except for me, and these are the 24-ounce coffee cups. And so all I did was I cut the bottom out of them, and so as the hot air rises up through the hive, it comes out of this. It acts like a chimney, comes out of the coffee cup, hits the top of the hive, turns into moisture or water, and then as it falls back down, the cedar shavings soak up the moisture and protects the bees. So it's ingenious. I'm not smart enough to think of these things. Some guy on YouTube did it, and I thought, man, what a great idea. So so I did it, and it works. The holes that you see here on the side, this is just to let more ventilation happen. So air and moisture will escape out of these holes right here, and there's two on this side as well. And then also moisture and condensation will escape through the coffee cup. And so that's how I did it. And this is at the top of the beehive. So every box that I have, I did it to every box. They're the same color, they have the same cups, and they have cedar shavings. Not that I have OCD, but I like things to be the same. So and so here's the small pollen patty that I'm going to put in each hive. And this is going to help the bees out a lot, I think. But they've got enough food, I'm sure. But this is just a little insurance policy for me until probably just tomorrow, and then I'll put enough in there for a week or so. But I've been thinking about it all week, like I said, and I just want to make sure that the girls have enough to eat tonight, and we can set them up for success tomorrow. So I'm going to take the quilt box off, and I'll show you what's going on inside the hive. Okay, so this is what the inside of the hive looks like. Now, what's going on here is that This is what's called a candy board. And so as I was thinking about everything last year during the fall, I thought, you know what, even though I have 60 pounds of honey inside the beehive, I'm going to make a candy board just in case. And all it is sugar and a little bit of water mixed up. It hardens up, and the bees will eat it. Now you see what's going on here. They're eating that. They're eating on this sugar pretty well, and so that's a really good sign. And I'm really glad that I did it. So, but there's the pollen patty that I put in here as well, and it's about as big as a hamburger patty at the moment. And I'm gonna see tomorrow how they do, or I'll see probably Sunday how they do with the pollen patty, and then you know, I'll go from there and make a decision on how I'm gonna proceed. So. But yeah, this is what's going on, and I can't tell you how happy I am. I really am. I'm pretty ecstatic about this because, you know, I was pretty concerned. So, but it's going really well. So, go girls! So this is going to be a look at all 3 hives open, and I'm going to start from the slowest hive, or the hive that I believe has the smallest colony, and that's this one here. I was afraid that I actually lost the hive, and I didn't know about a thing called torpor, and that's pretty much when the bees put themselves in a near hibernation state, and I didn't know that they could do that. And anyway, I thought they were dead. I didn't see any activity, but then last week as I was leaving, I thought I'd stop by the hives one more time, and I saw a few bees fly out, and then my dad came by on the warm days we had last week and told me that there were bees everywhere. So I'm really excited. I've seen a few bees flying in and out today, so that's a good sign, and so that makes me happy. I did put a couple of pollen patties on Friday night when I first got here, but I'm still gonna leave one more in there. But if you'll notice, the thing that I'm doing is I am leaving the center of the hive open, because I still want to make sure that ventilation effect is still working. But so this is the one of the original hives, and you know, still got a ways to go, but we're still looking pretty good. This is the hive in the center, and this is the hive that swarmed, or this is the swarm that I caught, excuse me. And they're doing pretty well. I left a pollen patty inside this hive through the winter time, but they never touched it, which means that they ate honey the entire time. So that's really great to know. So, you know, another test, another success, just, you know, proving that the folks on YouTube that I watched for hours and hours and hours really do know what they're talking about, and I got a lot of trust and faith in these people. So yeah, this is working out really well. I'm still probably going to leave another pollen patty in there in this hive just in case, but again, I'm going to leave the center hole open for ventilation. And I don't know if you can see, but there are a few bees down there working on the honey at the top of the frame. So hopefully you'll be able to see that. There comes one up right now. But it's pretty cool to watch them work. This right here is a second entrance that I provided every beehive in the candy board, and just in case, you know, there was a lot of bee deaths or they couldn't get out of the lower entrance or exit, then they had another escape route. It also provides more ventilation. Once again, ventilation is the key. Cold doesn't kill the bees, condensation kills the bees. That's the important thing to remember. So this hive's doing really well, and I'm really excited. It's going to be another great year. I know it's going to be. So, but once again, I'm leaving the center open for ventilation. That is the key, you guys. That's a big one. And last but not least, this is the hive that swarmed. This is the hive that I refer to as New York City, because this is a crazy hive. This is the busiest hive. These bees are out, man, they're flying. It doesn't matter what the weather's doing, they're out and about doing their thing. But I did leave a pollen patty in on Friday evening, and there it is. There's I don't know if you can see, but there is one of the bee girls. She's down there working on the protein patty, or the pollen patty, and you know, they're gnawing on it little bit by little bit, and but I'm going to leave another patty on there just because I'm expecting there to be some warm weather this week, and they're going to be really active. And so, you know, even though there is a ton of sugar in here, you know, choice is good, right? People like choices, bees like choices. At least that's the way I see it. But anyway, so that's this is the beehives, and they're doing great. So I've got no complaints right now.